I'm going to share with you how my past lives became apparent to me in this lifetime. Very much slowly, gradually, over a period of years. So, what really triggered my Assachic record knowledge of the Middle East and my many incarnations in the Middle East, as well as Egypt. It was when I was working at the movie theater in Virginia. I was 16 years old. And one afternoon, there was these gentlemen, and they were bowing, literally in the middle of the hallway, right before you go into the theater hall. And they were literally bowing. And I was just so curious. I was like, what is this? Like, I was like, I swear I've seen this before. I remember this. Like, where's this coming from? I've never seen it before, but as though I've seen it so many times. And when I asked them what they were doing, they said that they were bowing, and that it's a part of their Islamic tradition to bow to the sunset and the sunrise. And ever since then, it was like, boom. It just awakened these memories upon memories of me living in the Middle East, and me being a woman, me being a man in the Middle East. Even I started to recollect memories of Egypt, ancient Egypt, even before patriarchal Egypt and matriarchal Egypt, thousands, maybe tens, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And it's quite fascinating how these simple things can just trigger these monumental discoveries that we have about ourselves. So what that did is that really set up, it's almost like the divine just opened up something in my third eye, you could say. And ever since that day, I slowly started to unravel the esoterics of my ancient past, and the sort of mysticism school, and the sort of the sort of tradition, and the sort of ancient ritual of spirituality and artistry and self-discovery. And to this day now, I have integrated, right, 24 years old, I have integrated a lot of these practices, that are common to the Middle East, even Egypt, and even India. And with you guys and your sort of remembering of your past lives, right? It's actually, we are here to uncover our totality and our infinity, right? And it's not random, even the way you look, right? I always told my mother that I chose my father, that I chose him to be my dad because I remember being maybe a great grandmother in his bloodline, right? Because his bloodline goes many places, very vast, very expansive bloodline, Spain and the Cherokee and the Middle East, and very going to France, very vast. And I chose his particular bloodline because he was a medium, right? He could see spirits, and so could his grandmother. His great grandmother could see spirits, and was kind of passed down. And it is true that there's certain bloodlines that have a sort of excellence in spirituality, which is like, being a medium and psychic abilities and prosperity and these kinds of things. And my father had that in his particular bloodline. And I kind of chose my father to be my father because I needed a sort of template, right? Because I in my Sachic record, I already had all of this sort of knowledge that I've collected through many, supposedly 8.4, million lifetimes, right? And more than 8.4 million lifetimes, right? So there's all this Sachic record knowledge that I've collected through so many lifetimes. And I needed a template. I needed a vessel that the right sort of, I guess, genetics that could hold all of that in the physical body. So I chose my father's bloodline as well as my mother's, but particularly my father's bloodline had the sort of genetic code that could be able to hold this esoteric record knowledge that I collected through thousands of years of, doing this earth thing and reincarnating kind of thing, the reincarnating cycle, right? And in my father had a very fine-tuned psychic sort of ability, as well as had these other sort of my father had this sort of he had this sort of strength in his radiant body, right? He also had this sort of aura that was quite expansive because of the Cherokee sort of influence, and also had this deep richness with the earth because of his sort of Spanish, French, and Middle East kind of going way back kind of thing, right? So I chose that particular genetic code within my father because I wanted it, And you'll see spirits, spirits. Supposedly, there's 10 spirits per one person, so there's a lot of spirits in the spiritual realm, right? That would love to be born, and supposedly on the 120th day of a woman's pregnancy, when the soul comes into the fetus, it's like there's millions of spirits that are like just around the woman that would love to come in, right? So a lot of during the 120th day, it's a time to really pray and to raise your vibration as high as possible so you can call in a higher soul, right? Because there are spirits that would love to come into a woman who is very much like a goddess or high priestess, or just a woman who has the tools to really bring a child to its dharma and clear away the karma of all of the trauma and the curses and stuff, right? Because every spirit in the spiritual realm and every human being really desires to experience their dharma, which is their spiritual victory, their prosperity, their creativity, right? And to excel in that, to have recognition in that, and to have great accomplishment, right, in their spirituality and their sense of mastery, right? And a woman who is, has this sense of this dharma momentum, prosperity, and high creativity, when she's pregnant, particularly on her 120th day, right, in this lineage of Yogi Bhajan, right, master of Kundalini Yoga, basically, like, a woman has the potential to really clear away any of the karma that's attached to a spirit, right, that's trying to come into the fetus, and can also really bring that spirit into its dharma, which is what we all want as children, right? Or people, and as adults, children, right? We would all love to come into a womb, right? Or just come into a life or a childhood that is very well nourished, well balanced, well grounded, that's well healed, right? That's really working on a higher vibrational experience, right? We would all love that, right? But the vast majority of us are still dealing with the childhood trauma at age like 45, right? Because that's just, we have to navigate through that in order to move on and to, as a human species, move on into a higher vibration, right? We all have to work on our inner child wounds and these kinds of triggers and struggles and agitations that have us kind of caught in shame and emotional pain and I'm not good enough, right? That really creates all these blockages, these sabotage to our excellence, right? So we need humans excellent, right? If we're gonna basically not extinct ourselves on this planet as humans, right? So it is the mother, right, that has, especially on the 120th day, even before that, even before she even conceives a child, she has that potential to clear away the karma, right, the scars, the wounds, because every spirit, even my spirit, I came into this physical body with some deep wounds and some scars from past lives. I'm a little Aries child. I'm always in some kind of battle or something, right? And I've had past life memories of that, of being in like Civil War, and not American, like other Civil War and right kind of things. So I've always been this kind of fearless, like, okay, I'm gonna go in the battle and I'm gonna, be the front line and get killed, right? That kind of thing, very. So I know the wounds and the scars of that kind of thing, of that, those memories, the past lives. And all spirits have their sort of wounds, their scars, right? And a mother can actually, when the child's in the womb, can actually repair it for them, right? Can actually repair it for them so that when they come out, they don't have to spend years, trying to awaken it, then activate it, and then try to, repair it and then heal it and recover from it, right? Because that takes time. It takes time, to for it to awaken within you, the wound, the scar that comes from a past life, right? And then you got to activate it, and then you got to, repair it, and then you got to heal it, and then you got to recover it, right? And then that kind of, you got to, got to recover from it, and all that takes time, right? That takes time. So a woman who is pregnant and calling in that spirit on the 120th day has that potential to really heal all that and to undergo that experience for the child, right? Just using her subtle body and using her radiant body and using her meditative mind, she can really connect with that spirit, and just through synchronicity and also through intuitive direction, she can bring in like mantras or kriyas that she can do in her physical body, right? Chant or do in her exercise, that is for the child, right? And for the child's body, right? So if she can sense that the spirits had, incarnations of this particular wound or this particular scar, this particular pattern, and the spirit connecting with the mother is saying to the mother, I would like to reparent this, right? I have this pattern that I really would like to resolve in this lifetime, and a mother can really put in a structure in her body, a kriya, a mantra, a structure in her auric field that can best support the child in the sort of reparenting of these patterns that they're carrying from past lives, that they need to discover and they need to master in order to have, their excellence as a human being and as a spirit and a soul, right? So quite interesting. And that's just getting into a little bit about, the pregnancy and the 120th day and kind of what can go on and that kind of thing. So with the Akashic record and the past life sort of memories, they come apparent because they're there to really give us higher creativity, right? Higher imagination, right? Because when you get to experience your totality and your infinity, which is very, very captivating, right? You start to have this sort of cosmic vibration, this cosmic awareness, you can say, where you start to just having a connection to many areas around this planet, right? Many religions, philosophies, ideologies, cultures all around this planet, right? And it just kind of comes to you intuitively, because I bet every one of us has been in multiple philosophies, religions, all over, right? So it brings you this sense of unity, right? This sense of discovery, and that this sense of want to learn, right? And they say one of the greatest, creative minds are usually the individuals who love to learn, right? They love to learn. And not just learn about their own belief and keep, sort of reciting their belief, but also learn the expansion of their belief. Learn other beliefs, right? From a place of openness and from a place of discovery and a willingness to learn for the great accomplishment that is creativity, right? Higher imagination. So in my sort of the moment that really triggered and opened up this whole Akashic record of my past lives, and why I chose my particular father as well as my mother, but particularly the genetic code of my father, and his sort of structure, as well as like the esoterics, and why I'm like drawn to that so deeply, was triggered by that moment where I was just at the movie theater and I just saw these people bowing, and just bam, it was just like, whoa, like I have done this, and I've done this a lot, right? Where have I done this? I've never done this in this life, but I swear I have done this, right? It's because I have, in a past incarnation, in multiple incarnations, right? I was a part of Islamic tradition, of sunrise bowing. And now to this day, years later, almost 10 years later, I do bowing japji most frequently, right? Most frequently. And the other day when I was walking home, just like, it was late at night, and I just swore I could hear the afternoon prayer that they have. And I swear it was just like a moment, and I'm sure we all have that kind of moment where it just feels like the veil between this reality and another reality completely just drops for a moment, and you get to see into, like, almost like you're somewhere else for a moment, like a different reality, or in a different incarnations, or you're in the past or in the future somewhere. And for a moment, I swear I was in Jerusalem, and I swear, I don't know if I was on the Muslim side or the Jew side, and I was just hearing this afternoon prayer. Of course, and I was this language that I don't know, right? And I just felt so soothed by it. Like, I just felt like in that moment that only lasted maybe like 60 seconds, I just felt there was a little piece of me that came back. There was a little piece of me. It might have been like a 60 second, but there's just this piece of me that came back. Right? Right? And I think that is what brings this sense of contentment with life, to knowing that in the greatest Akashic record of who we are, that this isn't our first time. This is, for most of us, we're here for a very long time, right? For a very long time in many ways, right? So it brings us this sense of creativity and imagination, and it brings a sense of intuition, right? And the sense of purposefulness in this life, and the sense of that, we're in this incarnation because there's some kind of mastery that we want to have. There's some kind of creativity we want to have. There's some kind of healing we want to have, right? Say creativity, mastery, healing, right? In the dharma of our life, when we get over the trauma and the childhood scars and wounds and the past life patterns that have us in, kind of shrinking ourselves, selling ourselves short, this cheapness that we do, or, this fears and all these worries and the kind of, all those things that hold ourselves back. When we move beyond the things that hold us back, really our life becomes this creativity, this mastery, and this deep healing, right? And all the spirits, especially like when you do bowing japji, you can feel the spirits in the spiritual realm. They're like looking at you, and they're like, man, I wish I could do that, right? It's a privilege to be human, right? Because a lot of spirits, they would love to be in a body that's doing bowing japji, or they would love a mother who has bowing japji in her aura, right? Because, with this earth, and, kind of even with the breaking the cycle, the cyclical cycle of reincarnation is about getting to this sort of excellence where the creativity, the mastery, and the healing is well developed within us, well explored, well discovered, and it's excellent, right? Our creativity, our mastery, and our healing. And we go through incarnations of learning and experiencing and serving, so that we can be able to have that and experience that kind of great contentment with ourselves.